In a remote village nestled between rolling hills and green forests, there lived a young girl named Abina, with skin as smooth as cocoa and eyes that sparkled with curiosity. Abina was different from the other children in her village. While most girls were content with the traditional roles assigned to them, Abina had a dream that was larger than life. She wanted to become a media person, a voice that would reach far beyond the boundaries of her small village. The village, though beautiful, was steeped in tradition. The elders believed that education was a privilege reserved for boys, while girls were destined to tend to the home, fetch water from the river, and prepare meals. But Abina had a fire in her heart that refused to be quenched by such limitations. She had always been fascinated by the idea of passing on important information and being at the center of it all, her voice echoing through the airwaves. Abina's thirst for knowledge led her to Nana Kofi, an elderly man who lived on the edge of the village. Nana Kofi was no ordinary villager. He had once lived in the bustling city where he had been a teacher. He returned to the village in his old age to share his knowledge with the boys, as was expected. But when Abina approached him one day, eyes wide with determination, asking if he would teach her, Nana Kofi couldn't refuse. He saw in her a spark that he hadn't seen in anyone for a long time. "Why do you want to learn, my child?" Nana Kofi asked, curious about the little girl standing before him. Abina, barely 10 years old at the time, looked up at him with unwavering confidence. "I want to become a media person. I want to tell stories, share news, and be a voice for those who have none." Nana Kofi was taken aback. It was rare for a girl in the village to have such ambitions. He stroked his graying beard and smiled. "Then, let's begin." For years, Abina would wake up before dawn to complete her chores. She fetched water from the river, swept the compound, and helped her mother in the kitchen. Once her duties were done, she would sneak away to Nana Kofi's house. There, under the shade of a large baobab tree, Nana Kofi taught her how to read, write, and speak with confidence. He introduced her to books that transported her to far-off lands, stories that filled her with wonder, and news articles that ignited her passion even more. But not everyone in the village was supportive of Abina's dreams. Her peers often mocked her, and the elders frowned upon her unwomanly pursuits. "Abina, you dream too much," they would say, shaking their heads. "You belong in the kitchen, not in front of a microphone." Their words hurt, but Abina refused to let them dampen her spirits. She knew she was destined for something greater, and she clung to that belief with all her might. Even when her best friend, Amma, started to distance herself, fearing the ridicule that came with associating with Abina, she stayed true to her dreams. One day, a twist of fate came in the form of a radio announcement. The government was setting up a community radio station in a nearby town, and they were looking for young talents to train as reporters and broadcasters. It was a golden opportunity, but there was one catch. The station was primarily seeking boys. Girls, once again, were not considered. Despite this, Abina was determined to try. She knew that this was her chance to prove herself. She approached her parents with the news, hoping they would support her. "Abina, you are a girl," her mother said gently but firmly. "This is not our way. You should focus on learning the skills you need to run a household." But Abina's father, who had always been quietly proud of his daughter's determination, surprised everyone. "Let her try," he said. Let's see where her dreams take her. With her father's blessing and Nana Kofi's guidance, Abina set out for the town to apply for the position. The journey was long and tiring, but her resolve never wavered. When she arrived at the radio station, she was met with skeptical looks. The other applicants, all boys, snickered when they saw her. "What's a girl doing here?" one of them sneered. But Abina held her head high and walked into the interview room. The panel of judges was surprised to see a girl, but they allowed her to speak. Abina poured her heart out, speaking passionately about her love for storytelling and her desire to be a voice for her community. She recited the news articles she had written and even gave a mock report on the current events in her village. The judges were impressed, but they were bound by the rules. "We can see that you have potentials, Abina," one of them said, "but this program is designed for boys. We are sorry, but we cannot accept you." Heartbroken, Abina returned to the village. The rejection stung, but it didn't break her. She continued her lessons with Nana Kofi, determined to find another way to achieve her dreams. Months passed, and the village remained the same, but Abina was growing stronger, more knowledgeable, and more confident. Then, one day, something unexpected happened. The village was struck by a terrible storm, and the river that ran through the village overflowed, causing floods that destroyed homes and crops. The people were in despair, and the village chief called for help from the town. Abina saw this as an opportunity. She quickly wrote a report about the disaster and sent it to the radio station, pleading with them to broadcast it so that aid could be sent to the village. She signed the report with her name, hoping that her voice would finally be heard. To her surprise, the radio station not only broadcasted her report, but they also mentioned her name on air. This report comes from a young girl named Abina in the village of Asukwa. She has shown great courage and skill in reporting this disaster. We urge all listeners to send help to Asukwa immediately. Within days, aid began pouring into the village. The people were grateful, and the village chief personally thanked Abina for her efforts. The radio station, impressed by her work, invited her to join them as a junior reporter. This time, there were no restrictions. Her talent had spoken for itself. Abina accepted the offer with tears of joy. She finally achieved her dreams, despite all the obstacles. The villagers, who had once mocked her, now looked at her with admiration and pride. Even her best friend, Amma, came to apologize and rekindle their friendship. Years later, Abina became one of the most respected media personalities in the region. She never forgot her roots, and she often returned to the village to inspire other young girls to dream big. Nana Kofi, who had always believed in her, passed away peacefully, knowing that he had played a part in shaping a remarkable young woman. Abina's story became a legend in her village, a story of courage, perseverance, and the power of dreams. And as she spoke into the microphone, her voice carrying far and wide, she knew that she had fulfilled her destiny. She had become the voice that she always dreamed of being, proving to everyone that no dream is too big if you have the heart to pursue it.